Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. In the scriptures, there are so many wonderful things that happen on mountains. Have you ever climbed a mountain? Have you ever gotten to the top? Kind of. Yeah.
Stone Mountain.
Still numb?
No, Stone Mountain.
Oh, I thought you said you're still numb. So, what is it like to climb a mountain? I want to hear from you briefly. What did you experience climbing a mountain? It doesn't have to be at Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, it could be a fairly small mountain. What did you experience climbing that mountain?
Exhaustion.
It's very tiring, isn't it?
Yes.
A lot of pauses.
Yeah.
Exhilaration.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that
Challenging.
face. Challenging, very much so.
Sure.
Body, mind, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all parts of yourself get tested. And you think, do I really want to go all the way up there?
Interestingly enough, my son Dan Jr. went to South America and climbed a mountain in
Ooh.
Peru with his friends from Moscow. And
Wow.
they met there and went on vacation for a week. And he didn't have this feeling, but I did. As he posted things on Facebook, I had fear that he was going to drop, fall. Because
Yeah.
it was straight up in many places.
Ooh, there's a good point. You feel like you're going to drop and fall.
Yeah.
Renee,
Yes.
when, in another life ago, when I was really young.
A week ago.
Can't hear you, man.
Very, very long time ago, I went to Switzerland,
Oh.
and it was a wonderful experience, and I was with a group, and we climbed up this foothill in the Alps. Of course,
Oh.
it was quite a foothill. And once we got above the timberline, then there was this long expanse
Oh.
of climb where you had to do a lot of switchbacks, and just in order to get up there before you got into the rocks. And, every once in a while, you looked up and saw how far you'd gone and how much farther you had to go. And it was very exhausting, but one of the things I did experience was on the way up the switchbacks, all you could see was the summit that was under the peak.
Oh.
And that was your first goal. But on the way up there, you could look down and you could see the wildflowers that were growing along the path. And that spoke to me a lot. And I kind of remember that from time to time.
Have you written a song on that?
No. Well, not so much, but yeah, I guess I
That's
have.
a beautiful
in some ways.
moment. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it was enlightening.
Wow.
beautiful. That's great. What I also heard that touched me, Joel, was that you realized that there was a summit that was your first goal, but also when you look back, you saw how far you'd gotten. And sometimes you don't realize in your life how far you get to, working and striving every day for the things that you value. And then that's what Lent is so valuable for, is that we pause and look back. How far have we climbed? And how far is the summit? When I was at a minister's retreat, the very first woman ordained in our denomination, Reverend Dr. Dorothea Harvey, took some of us on a hike in Arizona. And I can't remember the name of the mountain or hill or whatever it was that we climbed, but it was significant. And I started to talk to her, and she said, I don't want to talk while we climb. I want to notice things. So we climbed a good half a day without speaking. And when we do that, we notice the subtleties of the trail. We hear the sound of the rocks underneath us crunching. We can notice when the altitude starts to make the breathing a little tough. You notice up in Switzerland when you get so high past the peak of the trees, you notice that there's not as much oxygen. You notice the expanse of the view. It's quite a thing to climb. And as a symbol or a representation or a correspondence of the spiritual climb, that we're all on. And there are days where it just feels like we're climbing a steep edge. There are times when you really do feel like you could fall. You really could fall down and break up. And then there are times when you take a day, or you even take a few hours if you've got them, and you just look out. That's the mind understanding what the symbol of the mountain means when Jesus takes up the people, the multitudes, to the mountain. So many powerful things happen on mountains. Mountains picture high states of thought and feeling in us. Closeness to the Lord. The 10 Commandments were given on a mountain to Moses. Jesus goes up a mountain to pray by himself. Jesus takes his closest disciples to transfigure in front of them, to show only a few the divinity glowing and changing in him. He shows us that the mountain is a place in us with him. I highly advise, if you haven't climbed even a little hill, just do it. Notice what you go through and do it in silence. Elijah proposed a test and went through a test on Mount Carmel. And now we have the Beatitudes. That's the first part of the Sermon on the Mountain, the Beatitudes that we're focusing on today as heavenly hints for happiness, which is why our musician today is singing to us of happiness. So, Jesus, he talks to the multitudes and says, come with me up a mountain. I want to talk to the high place in you. I want you to feel my closeness with you. When he looked out on the multitudes, he not only saw their physical need, their hunger and thirst, but he saw their souls and he spoke to that. And he does that with you every day. When Jesus, the first line of his Beatitudes, his sermon was, blessed are they, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, who are meek, who hunger and thirst for righteousness. He's using the word blessed to mean equivalent to happy. Happy are those who are poor in spirit. What? Happy are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Happy are those who are persecuted, for theirs will be the kingdom of heaven. I bet today, in general, most people would not say that's true. I would say that most people today would say, blessed are you when you experience pleasure. Blessed or happy are you when you are wealthy. Blessed or happy are you when you are powerful. Blessed are you when you are successful. So today, our gauge for blessed or happy is not the language of the Beatitudes. So what is going on? I would tell you that all of those qualities of power, wealth, popularity, success, all the things that we think today in general make us happy. I can think of people who have all those things and they're not happy. Not one bit. They're looking for the next thing to make them happy. So what is it? What is that elusive bird that we call happiness? What is it really? And I would say that happiness itself is only found from its source with a capital S. But what is it about God? And I'm asking you for ideas. I've got one, but I want to hear from you too. What is it about God's nature that makes us happy? Okay, come. What is it about God that makes us happy?
Forgiveness.
It's a pretty good answer.
The constancy of it. It's not up and down, it's constant. Not in our experience necessarily, but God's happiness, God's light,
Uh-huh.
it never wavers or changes. It's just always, it just is
And what is that light?
truth,
Mm,
love.
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 Love
Not-
first and then truth. Yeah.
Knowing that you're never alone.
You're all right so far. Any other thoughts? I went digging in Swedenborg and I found one thing that is happiness. Are you ready for this? It's something that when you first think about it, you go, aha. And then you think about it a little bit more and you go, whoa, it's really true. There's one thing that makes us happy, and everything else connects to that one thing. And that is God's unselfish love in your heart. Think about that. There are infinite amounts of ways, infinite expressions of unselfish love. It can be found in any religion, by the way, unselfish love. And why would the Beatitudes, the blessings, the happiness blessings, why would they be true? Except for this thought. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Why are the poor in spirit blessed? Why are they happy? Because unselfish love has an opportunity to show itself. Not only in the one who suffers, but in everyone around us. Blessed are those who mourn. We think about Joel's family and what they're going through. Why would they be blessed if they're in a state of loss and mourning? Because unselfish love itself surfaces at that time. Not only the one who suffers, because when we suffer, we open up to the divine. We have this aspect of our nature that knows we're not alone. Now, when we're truly miserable is when we feel alone. And Nancy made that point. We know we're not alone. That's an aspect of love. Blessed are those who are persecuted. I think about people who are bullied. I think about people who have been through abuse. People who are in poverty and want to break out of that box and want to flourish and need resources. And I think about people who are persecuted in the religious sense. And I think about people who don't have enough and they don't know where they're going to eat. I think about our veterans. Why are these people blessed and happy? Because in our misfortune, unselfish love comes forward. And it comes forward in so many ways. So blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you for my sake. Why? You think, what kind of God is this? But if you think about it, if unselfish love lives in every corner of the world, and it's in every religion, in good people, in every religion, it is relentless, looking for ways to show itself and give. That to me is the cornerstone of everything religious and everything that is good and right and true. So, it is not going to make us happy when we think too much about ourselves. Loving ourselves is a good thing in and of itself. We have to have that balance. But when we think too much about our problems and ourselves, we're not going to be happy. When we think about what other people can do for us, That's not unselfish love. That doesn't make us happy. When we think about what our neighbor has or what he or she has and I want it, we think about we don't have enough, we think about what we don't have, that doesn't make us happy. The only way to be happy is to open ourselves to being in the flow of that unselfish love and participating in it in whatever way the circumstances of our life showed us to do, as well as receiving. Part of the power of church, which is why I love Sunday mornings and whenever there's a church going on, any time of the week, any church, is that you see unselfish love striving to manifest itself. I call that the Lord or God, but if you're not particularly religious, unselfish love works just fine, with a capital U and a capital L. It shows itself in so many ways. The only way to be happy is to forget our strife and do something good. Forget about ourselves for a minute and do something good. Help somebody. You know, how many people have I met in the oncology unit who are just in misery? And all they have to do, I've seen it so many times in a week, which is why I love serving the Lord there. It just takes a little bit of forgetting yourself and helping somebody. And all of a sudden, whoosh, there's a shift for that person's perception of suffering and their sense of purpose in their life. So letting go of resentment and anger, forgiving, being kind to those who injure you, that's a tough one. But if your gauge is unselfish love, you can do it. You can do it. It means trusting the Lord when you're really worried and you want to try to micromanage and control everything because you don't have to worry. But then you spend all your mental energy and maybe even your physical energy trying to prevent the worry, and then you miss the moment. That's why at the beginning of the service today, of the message, I was trying to get us to picture ourselves maybe halfway through a climb and stopping for a minute and looking at how far we climbed and just enjoying the wildflowers and maybe the view. Because Jesus took the multitudes up so that, you know, the multitudes are in you, so that you can see everyday life in its true proportion. Because we do, I do, we do get lost in the very front, the thing in front of our nose, and the thing that we're focusing on, and the things that are bothering us, and the things that we feel are preoccupying our unhappiness. We get so much in front of that one thing. So the Lord tries to take us up and look out at the everyday life and the proportions of your life, and to see a sense of that balance and seeing what everything that you're going through in its proportion to what matters the most. And if we can do that, it doesn't matter what worries we have, we can calm and center, pray, and find a right relationship with God and with each other and with ourselves. You ever feel like you're chasing yourself? I found myself on I-75 the other day. I was going south and I couldn't catch up.
I saw you too.
You know, sometimes we just need to stop the climb and look out. Jesus is doing that, especially before hard times come. He's telling his disciples, I'm going to be with you just a little while longer. So enjoy this now. Know that it's coming, and keep a perspective of the purpose and what this is all about. Not look at the faults of others, but look at our own shortcomings. Rejoice and be glad, for great is your reward in heaven.